Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Heels of Time with your host Theo, myself, and Derek, my compatriot over there. Today we got a little treat. We're going back to some Slavic region areas, particularly two interesting individuals named Belobog and Chernabog, and we're going to compare them to an interesting character in the Wheel of Time. His name is Luke/Slayer. Hopefully you guys, he's not a huge, he's a big character, legitimately gargantuan, at least in the dream world. Mm-hmm. But in terms of what we know about him, it's kind of shallow, as with these gentlemen from the past, because we're doing a double innuendo. Dum, dum, dum. So this one's going to be a little bit of a shorter one, just so you guys know. And then we're going to quit and then post up a reaction video to the new trailer that came out. Because we are, just about a month away, right, Derek?
Yeah, less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month, technically, yeah.
So let me remind our audience that we do have, in the Slavic region, we've explored one god already,
mm-hmm.
and we put on the table the idea that Perrin is actually maybe Perun masquerading
right
in this world. In a sense, you can take that with a grain of salt. Yeah. So we came back to this region because after some discussion, we realized, well, although it does appear that Robert Jordan, in his craftiness, has shifted things around in his fashion. And, here's a good time to bring this out, Theo.
Go for it.
What are some of Robert Jordan's more entertaining characters? Are the Gleemen, right? I mean, they are entertainers.
Right, they're literally the entertainers of the world.
And you're right. And what are some of the skills they have? Can you remind me?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they like to sing, dance.
They like to sing, dance?
Literally entertain, poetry.
Poetry?
Basically a bard. If you're going like RPG land, you're going to bard.
RPG land, they'd be definitely called a bard. In
maybe
Wheel
a Joker
of Time,
too.
In Wheel of Time, they saved the term bard for just people that are like literally working for a lord or like in a court for a queen or something. But doesn't he also juggle?
Yeah, which would be a Joker.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sure.
I'm saying I'm comparing them to like medieval times RPG characters and real life stuff.
But okay. Yes. Yeah. So, pardon me. So backing up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw it back to you. I
go for it.
Getting off topic a little bit. We'll come back in a minute. But so we're gonna have this guy, right, that you're looking at. That's kind of this not so known guy either, really.
Right. Exactly.
So we're kind of trying to tie that together here in this episode. So I'll come back in a minute, but we're trying to keep this episode a little bit shorter, so I'm gonna throw it back to you, Theo.
Cool. No worries, bro. So we're just gonna call these dudes the Bogs because saying them all the time is just ridiculous. So
yeah, Bog, C-Bog, and B-Bog.
Pretty much, Bebop and Rocksteady. But
yeah.
So yeah, there's not a ton know about these guys, but they're important, which is kind of random. Important that we don't know about a lot. So whatever. So Belobog. Literally, like it legitimately translates to white god.
Nice.
Like, okay. So what is believed, because again, there's not a ton of info, god of the day, summer, light, and overall goodness. Like pure good. Chernabog, however, is like a total 100%, as we would call, opposite. It translates to black god.
Nice.
As in like dark, evil.
So much like our logo, we literally have
yin and
this
yang,
kind of
almost white and black.
Like this duality concept going on again. Okay.
They believe he's accountable for the night, the dark, and winter.
Hmm.
Makes sense. Summer, basically complete
Oh,
opposites,
okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Complete and constant battle, which of course makes sense because there's obviously night,
Oh.
day, summer, winter, good, bad, or good and evil, whatever you want to call it, and dark. So they'll be responsible for day to night, night to day, and the change of the seasons, which makes sense. They're 100% inseparable, and together they create life and maintain the harmony in the universe, which makes
Oh,
sense
that's
because
interesting.
it's all of the things together make it whole. Because you can't have one without the other, kind of thing. So, an interesting one is, Chernabog
Okay.
was documented in medieval times, like pure documentation. However,
So, what medieval times for our audience? That's like what,
yeah,
like 1000, 1100?
give or take, yeah,
Okay.
was he around before that? Probably, but actual,
But actual
yeah,
documents.
Belobog is only assumed. He's never really pure mentioned, so to speak. So they're interpreting, well, if you got one, you got the other, because like their whole, like the Slavic region always has this like duality of harmony with nature. So it would make sense if you had the one that's like super bad, you'd have the one that's super good, and vice versa. So that's interesting. So depictions, literally, man, if you think of kind of a mix of like Gandalf, the white, when he comes out, he's like all white, super beard, old dude.
Okay. Like pure good.
Yeah, pure
No,
good.
no funny, no schemes. Like, so
Nope.
see our previous video, audience,
Yep.
but we talk about how Gandalf the Grey is kind of like the schemer.
Yeah.
Like he's good, but he also has his own kind of ends. But when he's Gandalf the White, he's purely there to represent like what is
Pure.
good.
Pureness.
Yeah, pure, exactly.
So that's what Belobog is. So he's older, super long beard, got the long flowy hair. Has a staff. Looks like a nice older gentleman, like a dude that you go up to and be like, "How you doing?" Conversely, Chernabog, he's dark. I mean, I won't say gray, but you can like think of it as like silhouette, or like if someone's like in the shadows all the time, like that they're there and you can like see their eyes and stuff, but you can't see them. That would be him. So he's a little different. Obviously, he's the god of night and darkness, chaos. All the bad stuff. He controls like acquiring understanding of the material world and the importance of reason, logic, and you would think that he'd be kind of good too, then, right? So that's what I mean. Like the duality of stuff in their mythos is like, well, you can't have one without the other, but they're both good and bad, if that makes sense.
Well, actually, it does. And let me interject that often civilizations have had trouble placing the blame, so to speak, at where wisdom comes from. And quite often, we see time and time again that actually wisdom is associated with evil.
And if you think about that too, and because remember, Chern was known. So looking at it, Prometheus, right? He gave humans knowledge and was punished.
He gave them
fire.
Oh, he gave them fire, which is knowledge. Yes.
Knowledge, power, and all that stuff. So Chernabog was also punished. But he escaped the world into the darkness, into the dark world, because he broke the great heavenly laws of, non-interference. Again, it's kind of super vague, but he was kind of punished by the beings, the superiors.
Oh, that's interesting.
As well. Also, you could also say in some respect, Hades got the short stick too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Hades isn't really a bad god, but everyone thinks death is bad. So he has a down tick when you say Hades, right?
Well, because technically, I'm not saying this is really it, But one of the aspects of Hades that people don't like is he definitely is tasked with keeping the dead in the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
So that aspect of it is looked at as kind of like, well, he's a warden at the very least. He's the bouncer, at the Club of Life,
Well, the thing is, you don't want the dead coming back.
Well, I hear you say that, but some people would just straight up look at you maybe and just say, why?
You want no
But
Walking Dead around, right?
well, no, I can think of plenty of my own reasons, but either way, you have Hades really. He's almost like keeping people from being alive more than like he's not really killing people. That's more like
Correct.
Your other homeboy Thanatos, right?
Right? He's the death monster. Yes.
He's like the snap of death, right?
You could put it that way. Yes.
Yeah.
So, they're obviously in a never-ending cycle, never-ending fight. They keep going back and forth. Their principles clash with each other. They're literally polar opposites, but you can't have one without the other and make the world like perfectly in harmony, because it wouldn't be that way. So makes sense to me. Again, there's not a lot, and that's about it. I kind of extrapolated just about everything I can think of on this one. So
sounds good, man.
In that regard, I'm going to give it back to my partner in crime, and hit us up with some knowledge of Luke and Slayer.
Okay, well, let me give some background to this character first that kind of actually is going to highlight the whole white versus black, good versus evil kind of scenario that you laid out for us. Okay. And I'm gonna lead our audience to this very specific point. You can make your own points. You can make your own contrasts. That's fine. Slayer is the hybrid of two people. So already we have this duality of the bogs becoming white bog versus black bog, depending on the time of the year, kind of like a seasonal, again, like another agricultural kind of thought, so to speak. Well, you have Slayer was made in Mount Doom, as there's this kind of prophecy within the Wheel of Time that talks about how Luke Mantir, okay, he goes to Mount Doom. Isam Mondragon goes to Mount Doom. Two go in, one come out. But yet both personalities are there. But not at the same time. It's not like two people sharing a body struggling over control. It's one has control at all times and then hands it over like a hot potato to the other person, and then they have full control. So that is very similar, I would think. So specifically, though, in this creation, I haven't said, you're like, so what? He's two different people. What does that have to do with the good side and the bad side? Well, in this narrow sense, when he's Luke Mantir, he is the brother of a character we haven't gotten into yet, named Tigraine Mantir. Tigraine Mantir is the literal biological mother of Rand al'Thor, the Dragon Reborn, hope, the preservation of our rebirth for his salvation, right? Mm-hmm. That Rand al'Thor, the dragon. So his mother, Tigraine Mantir, is the sister of Luke Mantir, making Luke the uncle of Rand. So Luke the light. Rand is the savior, the light. Would you argue that, Theo?
No.
Okay. So Luke is the light. Luke is the what's the white god? Which bog is that? The Belobog.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any Slavic listener out there. I if anyone out there knows more about these bogs, please let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll have you on the show. You can tell our audience, a thing
set us straight if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So that's out of the way. We have the good one. Okay. So the white god, okay, that's Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So just by genealogy, okay, that's the first thing I'm going through. So now we have Isam Mondragon. He's the other one. So how am I going to tie this guy to the black guy? Well, in this one particular fashion. Isam Mondragon is Lan Mandragoran's brother. And what is Lan Mandragoran known to be as? The sole survivor of Malkir. He's kind of known to be the lone warrior. He's kind of known to be the guy that's wedded to death. Oh, that's an interesting phrase. So Lan Mandragoran, in the sense of death, represents darkness. Like Lan Mandragoran might as well be death, as far as if you're a Trolloc or a Myrtle, like you're done. You're done. So when we're talking about Lan Mandragoran, he is darkness in that sense. Not that he's a bad dude, and you even alluded to Hades either. Hades isn't a bad dude. He's death, but that's still a kind of a dark place. So would you say, if I could say that, so I'm not going to prove Lana's death.
Right.
And we already talk in another episode. Check it out. Matt is Hades. I'm telling you. Put your tinfoil hats on now, everybody. Matt is Hades. So in the aspect of Lan being so lethal and being able to just murder everybody, would you argue too much with me saying Lan Mandragoran pretty much represents death?
He would be the ethereal body of it, I would think.
Like the embodiment of death.
Yeah.
Like death incarnate, kind of. Okay.
Yep.
Well, in that sense, then, his brother is associated to darkness. Isam is darkness. Okay. So we have Luke's Mantir being light. We have Isam Mondragon being darkness. And I haven't even talked about the character yet, just the association. So let's look at the characters. You have Luke Mantir. He comes into the Two Rivers, the birthplace of the three Ta'Veren, the three gods, if you look at another video of ours. Well, look at this. He's giving advice, good advice, not great advice, as it turns out. But he's saying, don't sit around. You're young boys who can't fight anyway. Get them on the roof. Let them be lookouts for the Trollocs. Oh, that's good, because Trollocs are everywhere at this point. Spoiler alert. So let's try to get this situation down. But Perrin comes along. And remember, Perrin, being Perun, the Slavic lord, he's going to look at Chernabog and say, F off. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you said Luke, right?
Yeah, so
Luke's the good
Perrin
one, so that's Belobog.
Well, either way, in this situation, either way.
Okay.
So he's the Lord.
Yeah. Well, so in this case, Perrin just be like, hell no, this is mine.
Right. So when Luke is saying this is good, yeah, it's good. Perrin's going to come by and say, okay, yeah, it's good, but ultimately I'm the best.
Right.
And I'm the top. So even though you're telling him good stuff, I'm going to tell you better stuff.
Exactly. And you got to go through me too.
And you got to go through me. So he learns the lesson. So Luke kind of was the Lord of the Two Rivers for a minute, kind of like a Belobog kind of situation. Perrin, being Perun, comes by and he's like, no, I'm the Lord of the Two Rivers. I'm going to tell him right. And you know what? Here. Perrin basically says this, spoiler alert. You know what? Those scouts on the roof, they're not too young to fight. So I'm telling you two things right now. Number one, you said since they can't fight, they should be up there. Well, they can fight, so they need to be down. Number two, if they see a Trolloc, what are they going to do? Make some noise? What is that going to do? Give us enough time to get one guy ready? He's like, pointless. They might as well be down here. In a big group, we'll get some scouting parties out. So guess what a scouting party can do? They see a Trolloc, they're going to kill it. They're not just going to yell and holler. So Perrin, being Perun, the Lord, of course, he's got to really know. And I'm saying this in a hypothetical sense. Like, if there really was a Two Rivers Lord that just knew what was best, and Perrin is that Perun guy, then yeah, whatever he says is going to be right. Argument?
Nope. Keep going.
So, got it. So when you have that going on, and think about this. Does Lord Luke want the Two Rivers to die?
No.
Actually, no. Do you know why he's there? I'm gonna refresh your memory, Theo.
Go for it.
Lord Luke is there to actually take out Padden Fane. So check this out. Padden Fane in the Pit of Doom was turned into the Hound of the Dark One. So we'll have to talk about this guy in an episode. So when he was turned, he became stronger than a human. I'm not saying he can't die, but he can take some punishment.
Mm-hmm.
He can take some abuse. Along the way, though, he went to Shidar Lagoth and became possessed by a guy named Mortius. So Mortius is another what I would call a being with infinite power. He represents infinite hate. Not at humanity, not like let's end it all, but hate against the idea that there has to be hate. So it's this weird circular logic, but it makes sense if you're a human because humans are not always rational.
Right.
So they like literally hate. Man, I hate that people can die. Man, I hate that I can stub my toe. Man, I hate that I have to pay this bill. Like things could be so much better. And because of that, they created this infinite amount of hate that rivaled even the Dark One. So those people, they come in contact, their essence basically comes in contact with this Padden Fane guy. Mortius meets Padden Fane and creates this new guy named Ortius. Ortius, we don't even know if he can die. Like straight up, he's kind of this terrible mystery. He's like a cancerous tumor in the Wheel of Time. He just keeps on getting worse and worse as time goes by. And it's like Rand doesn't even know. So circling back, Isam / Luke / Slayer, he was apparently appointed, hired, or otherwise told, get rid of this Padden Fane guy. So Padden Fane is going around with the White Cloaks, these guys that kind of talk about being good guys. They're not really. They're more like fervent zealous. They're really looking for excuses to be like, I'm better than you. They're like the ultimate, they're like the club of bullies, okay? Padden Fane has found refuge with them. And he has a talent. He's able to turn these guys on the fly, make them think sadistic, gross, disgusting, Jeffrey Epstein kind of thoughts, okay? And then they roll with him. They're like, all right, we'll follow you because you let us do what we want. Padden Fane Ortius is so nasty at this point, he can turn Myrddraal, Dark Shadow Spawn, to follow him. They literally follow him. And he recruited as many as 3 or 4. So it's not like a one-off. So Padden Fane comes around. Slayer's there to get him. Meanwhile, the real Lord shows up. Perun shows up. And it's kind of like, your business with this Padden Fane guy is no consequence compared to me taking care of mine. So we get this funny situation where Slayer's like, man, I need some Trollocs. Like, I don't know, 100 and I'll take care of this one guy. Like, I'll overwhelm him, take him apart. Perrin's like, nah, I'm killing these Trollocs. We're hunting for Trollocs. All of a sudden, Slayer's like, dialing up the Dark One. He's like, yeah, I need to like order like 10,000 Trollocs, like now. Like right now. So at that point in the story, and this is version number 2, version number 1 is just their lineage. Version number 2 is at that point in the story, less and less of Luke is being good. And this is kind of like that waxing and waning of the seasons kind of thing as winter comes, right? Mm-hmm. And the storms and the thunder are coming. Varen makes a storm and it gets kind of out of control. We talked about that. We see more and more of, instead of Lord Luke Mantir, we see more and more of Isam Mondragon. And in this part of the story, Isam Mondragon is only in the world of dreams. And I'm going to remind our audience, is the world of dreams the afterworld? No. Is the world of dreams winter? No. Is the world of dreams Never Neverland? No. Do all those places kind of live there? Yes. So is it the night? No. Does Nyx from Greek mythology walk around around Riyadh? Maybe. Well, but she isn't the
Right.
place. That yeah. Could Artemis pop up in Tar Al Riyadh?
Sure.
Possibly. But is Artemis Tar Al Riyadh?
No.
No. Right. Yeah. Now we're vibing. So you got this kind of crazy place though, where it just fits the misfits. And now we're getting to part number 3. Slayer, in the daytime, he's Luke. He's the guy that gives good advice, not great advice, just good advice. So that puts him in the good category as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And every woman swoons over this guy. They're like, "Oh, Lord Luke, you're the best. You look so handsome, and you're gonna find the Horn of Valir, and you always give the best advice." No, he doesn't. So Perrin is like, "No," and he makes a fool of him all the time because, as we know, you got your Hercules, right? Hercules is the best, right?
Damn right.
But what about Hercules and Zeus having to arm wrestle?
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if Zeus had to summon a lightning bolt, and you'd be like, "That's kind of some bullshit," he'd still win.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so too, right?
Yeah.
So you got the Lord of the Two Rivers, Perrin Perun. He comes by and he's like, "No, Luke, no, you bow down to me." So what's interesting is in the world of dreams, when he's literally a different physical body, kind of like you have the bogs, Chernabog, and is it can you help me out? Belobog. So you have Belobog and Chernabog.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Belobog and Chernabog are physically different people, it's kind of like this rotation. And you have Slayer being either Luke in the daylight and at night, or in the dream world, so to speak, as I gave the disqualifier or the quantifier, I mean. He is Isam Mondragon. So guess what? In this world, he's a total dick. He's killing wolves. He is messing things up. And his job, remember, he's there in the Two Rivers to take out Pad and Fane. Mission Pad and Fane complete. So while he's dreaming, he doesn't need to do anything. What does he do? He risks his life to kill wolves in this wolf dream. He's nasty. He's gross. He's a bad guy. So we don't need to spoil what happens to Slayer, but let's just put it this way. If you want to associate, and I apologize, no embarrassment meant, but I'm not sure if you mentioned the fact that, let me just run this by you real quick. If you had to make a sacrifice to Belobog or Chernabog, who would the sacrifice go to?
I mean, you know me, bro. Probably Chernabog.
Probably Chernabog, right? He's the bad mother effer, right?
Yep.
Okay. So who needs the sacrifices in this in Wheel of Time? None other than Isam Mondragon. He goes into the wolf dream and he kills these wolves. Now, this is a spoiler alert, and this is to help you understand Wheel of Time is all over the place, but it's methodical. There's a method to this madness. In the wolf dream, that's also Tel Al Riyadh, or however you say it. And they call it the wolf dream because when wolves die, they go into Tel Al Riyadh and they have immense power there until they're reborn again. Slayer / Isam Mondragon, he goes into the wolf dream and he kills wolves there. So if you're waiting around to be reborn into some area and you get killed there,
you're done.
Yeah, you're done. What do you think happens? You go to second wolf dream? No. I don't think so.
It's end all.
It's done. So it's kind of like ties into the idea of being the god of sacrifice. So that's pretty much what I have as far as relating Slayer to the bogs. But what do you think, Theo? Anything I said that stuck out or that you liked? Or
no, I appreciate it. And of course, even though Perrin is not compared to a bog, one of the bogs.
Oh, for sure.
With his interpersonal conflict in the real world, I think that may have added to when he becomes, this is some spoiler shit here, if you haven't read much, is,
go for it.
You know, what was Perrin's name? Goldilocks? No, Golden Eyes, right?
Golden Eyes,
so,
yeah.
When
Perrin, Golden Eyes, Ibera.
Which, a.k.a. wolf, right?
Wolf.
He's got the
Wolf
yellow
man.
eyes. He's got the wolf dudes. So when he has an interpersonal conflict with Luke, Luke doesn't do really much in the real world. It's not like he's going to go up against Perrin and like try to kick his ass or anything because, well, he wouldn't be able to. And two,
Not in real life. Not when
no.
Perrin is like a blacksmith that can
Yeah.
that can rip a chair apart with his bare hands.
Yeah.
By the way, that happens.
Yep. So he's not going to take him on.
Literally.
He's not going to take him on there, right? So
Oh, definitely not.
Where would Luke be the most powerful? He'd be the most powerful in the dream state.
Oh, for sure.
So when he takes on the persona of Slayer in the wolf dream, Perrin, of course, goes to the wolf dream. So remember when I said everybody's got their own agendas?
Oh, for sure.
Well, Slayer's agenda, yeah, is killing wolves because, it's fun or whatever. Perrin is like, well, hell no, you're not going to kill my bros. So then they have the epic conflict in the dream state. I'm not going to say what happens because, that's good, some good reads.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But Perun is the king, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll just say that.
Let's say he's the top wolf.
Yeah. So it to me it makes sense that the Luke character has an issue with Perrin in the real and in the dream. It kind of makes sense. And if you think Perrin at first, of course, is probably one of the most epically powerful beings in real world, is still learning the ropes in the dream state. So he's not as strong as an ethereal being yet. I mean, he gets there, but it would make sense that he would try to take him on in the dream world. Just saying.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that was just my 2 cents and how I.
No, that's a good point.
How I would think of it. It'd make sense that Luke was just like, "Damn you, Perrin," and then Slayer's like, "Damn you, Golden Eyes."
Well, and here's something I didn't mention. You mentioned that Chernabog is kind of like the wisdom one. Mm-hmm. Well, Isam Mondragon, Slayer in the Wolf Dream, he is the tactician. So that it also fits.
Strategy.
And for some reason, and maybe here's another clue. Why is Perrin getting a premonition about what Slayer is going to do? Maybe it's because Robert Jordan said, well, these are both Slavic gods. If Perrin is Perun, he's going to kind of understand what this other Slavic god is about. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's another hint. And when I say that, in the Wolf Dream, when they fight, and this isn't their ultimate confrontation, right, that my friend Theo was alluding to, but when they do fight here, what happens? Perrin says to himself, oh, he is setting a trap for me. He is waiting for me to react in a certain way. So that's very interesting that Perrin knows somehow that this guy is a very smart guy. He's a tactician. He knows what he's about.
Yep.
So it's just an interesting tidbit to throw in as we talk about this. It's just like I could picture when I think about Robert Jordan, it's like I picture him in like a battle room where he has that map drawn out with all like the, you have all
the little things you push him around.
And you push him around with that long stick, and like he has one of those for like every character that he made. And it's like all entwined together. So I when I say this, I hope I'm not ruffling any feathers. This show is not about trying to say Robert Jordan ripped anybody off or anything. No. What we're trying to do is we're trying to say that dude was well read. He really did his research. He really brought something to the table very special. So I just hope that they don't forget about that aspect of it when they do the show. I hope they don't over Hollywoodize the show, and that's all I'm gonna say. So what? Going back to our actual topic, what do you think? Were there some commonalities, some parallels in there, Theo?
Hey man, for as little as we know about the bogs, I would think so. I mean, again, if people are more experts, lay it on us. But
if someone knows another god that's one guy but two guys, like maybe that Yanis guy or whatever,
maybe that fit more. Oh. But
maybe.
I think we're on the right track. I think that's a definite possibility. in terms of over Hollywooding the Wheel of Time,
Yeah.
it should be. That'll be an interesting one. You'll see our reaction to the next in our next video, which will be up.
Oh, good
a little
point.
shortly.
Good point.
But everyone says like a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And we know that Robert Jordan wrote many thousands of words.
Oh, yeah, good point.
However, Hollywood's gonna have to like add a little something to it as well, because they'll actually literally run out of stuff the way he wrote to put it on the screen. So we'll see.
You're saying some stuff is not going to make it. It just can't.
I think there's going to be some stuff that's not going to make it, and I think there's going to be some stuff that's going to be added.
I agree. A little
or changed up a little bit.
Kind of some horse trading is going to go on.
Yes. That's
I
my
bet
prediction.
you're right.
That's my prediction.
It's a good prediction, dude.
But again, you're also trying to make something that is from the 90s relevant in the 2020s.
And to put a fine point on that, they are very aware that they are competing with Game of Thrones.
Yep.
They know that they're not making this in an island. They know that in a way it has to kind of be like, well, this isn't the sequel to Game of Thrones, but it's kind of like you can kind of understand. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Check out our next video, y'all. It should be posted at some point in the next day or so.
Sounds
or maybe
good.
later tonight. Depends on how motivated we are.
Right?
But in the meantime, y'all have a good rest of the week. We are the Heels of Time. Please like and subscribe to us. We do like additional folks.
Oh, most definitely. It's very important. Yes. And as the host has said,